Hello, I'm David Chaston with 989, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This is where you get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock with news of regulatory confusion in Australia. But first, in China, house prices continued their fall in April according to data out overnight. But there was a small and tentative rebound in some cities, suggesting that recent steps by policymakers are helping engineer at least a stabilisation in their housing markets. Last week, the central bank cut interest rates for the third time since November. It has already removed several restrictions on some home purchases. In the US, new Federal Reserve analysis published overnight has shown that the American economy is probably not as weak as recent official estimates suggest, adding to arguments for raising interest rates sooner rather than later. There is a good chance that the underlying economic growth so far this year was substantially stronger than reported, they concluded. Another voting Fed official agreed. But markets ignored the comments and the analysis. Convinced rate hike risks have faded. The Dow and the S&P 500 reached record highs overnight. Raised earning expectations didn't hurt either. American consumers are also feeling better about their finances, even though they remain tight. In Australia, we reported yesterday the ASIC warning on the risks of low interest rates empowering asset price bubbles, especially in housing markets. But at the same time, it turns out the RBA is talking of more potential for rate cuts. It is a major public policy problem when regulatory signals are not coordinated. In New York, the US Treasury 10-year benchmark yield rose in trading this morning, recovering much of what it lost on Friday. It is now back to 2.22%. The US oil price is little changed at $59 a barrel, while Brent crude is at $66 a barrel. Overnight, the IMF released a paper looking at the true cost of energy subsidies. That is the difference between what consumers pay for energy and their full cost, including climate damage, health impacts and congestion. They reckon that subsidy is $5.3 trillion. But they don't show how they calculated the load by country. They do say coal is the main culprit, electricity the least. They ignored nuclear energy. The analysis will likely offend both China and India. The gold price is a little higher at $1,228 an ounce. The New Zealand dollar starts today lower by a whole cent at 73.7 US cents, 92.4 Aussie cents, and 65.2 Euro cents. The TWI is at 76.7. I'm David Chaston. That was 9 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.